Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome back to Resurrecting the Renaissance Behind the Scenes. I am Raquel McKenzie, and I have with me the illustrious Truth Be Told.
Hey, woohoo! How's
Say
it going?
hello to the beautiful people.
Hello, you beautiful people. How are you? I hope you're enjoying yourselves. How are you, Raquel?
You know what? I'm doing better now. It's the energy. It's the good energy for me. Yeah.
Yes.
Well, let's dive into it. I'm sure they're all wondering who is this amazing talent in front of us. This is one of our performers from the second installment of Resurrecting the Renaissance. So just give the people a little bit of background about yourself.
Well, originally, my name is Christopher Owens. I'm an artist known as Truth Be Told. I'm originally from Saginaw, Michigan. I've been a writer, a full-time spoken word artist for, traveling for about 10 years now. A little bit of acting on the side as well, but mainly just writing has been my bag, writing, activism, and entrepreneurship, and just finding ways to incorporate all three to further work with my craft and to help, my community.
Wonderful. And how long have you been in this art world?
I have been, honestly, my entire life. The elementary school that I went to was really arts based, so we were involved in plays and things such as that. But full time as an adult, it's been 11 years full time.
Very good. I love to see it. I love meeting artists in their art for a long time. So
Yes, yes, it's
that
a
is
beautiful thing.
awesome. Speaking of art, we are so lucky to have you on Resurrecting the Renaissance. What made you want to be a part of this production?
As soon as I heard what was going on, I was immediately excited. The Renaissance has always been one of those points in my life where I look back at just seeing Black excellence on display without apology. And that's always been like the target and the arrow for me to try to aim. And it seems as if then it was okay. We had our style, we had our fashion, and there have been different iterations, since then. But that was like the boom that really set it off. And sometimes it feels as if we were in need for that now, and to have the opportunity to be a part of something as amazing as this, I couldn't turn it down. I was more than thrilled to be on this.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I definitely feel the same sentiment. For me, when I think about Black excellence in history, I immediately go to the Harlem Renaissance. All I think about are these like beautifully dressed people being themselves
Yes.
out loud. like,
Yes.
and how freeing it is to decide, like, all right, this is what we're gonna do. This is the music that we want to play and listen to. This is our poetry. This is our heart. This is the way we dance and how we express ourselves. And everyone's like, all right, yeah, this is what we're gonna do. This is it's a new day. And I was like,
Absolutely.
we need
And
that
you
now.
know what? It as you were speaking, it literally just hit me. Part of the reason why I think the Harlem Renaissance is such um, a focal point for many of us is that culturally speaking, most Black people don't know their last names. We don't
Mm.
know exactly where it is that we come from. You don't know, like from a 23andMe type stance. You don't know exactly where you are, but you know home when you feel it. And every aspect of the Harlem Renaissance feels like home. And it's not something that's just, even if you look throughout history, it's not just a man led, it's not women led, it's not it's not the exclusion of LGBTQ plus, although it may not have been as big a display, it was still there and represented very well. Langston Hughes, my favorite artist, my first car was named after Langston. So it's so many powerful and diverse examples of what Black excellence is.
Mhm.
And 100 years later, we're at a point where we need that reminder. And seeing as we learned this previous month, well, this month, how many people didn't even know about Tulsa 100 years ago. It's necessary for people to understand the history and what we've come from and what we've endured and what we've been talking about isn't necessarily anything that's brand new and like the poems that we do.
Yeah, that's such a good point. And I was like, yeah, that's the whole point, I think. People don't know the stories
Yeah,
or they don't know these people. And I'm like, they need to know these people. These people helped shape America.
absolutely.
Another
Absolutely.
reason why I love the Harlem Renaissance is because, and it's not normally taught in school unless it's an elective.
Mhm.
Another story, another conversation for another time. But it's not a story of slavery and hardship and crow and segregation. I mean, it was in the 20s, but the story of the Harlem Renaissance is all beauty. And even though some of the music and art came out of pain, it's still so beautiful. It's like watching a painting, and it's not as heartbreaking as everything else that we're taught. It's one of the best things that I don't think is taught enough. And that's
I,
why I love it.
I think one of the aspects of Black Americans, just from a historic standpoint, because what it is that we've endured is unprecedented to most. Others will try to compare it to try to diminish what it is that we've gone through, but to be quite honest, no one has been able to express and carry their pains and their atrocities with the grace and glamour which we do, to the point where some almost feel as if we're glorifying it, when the fact of
Mm.
the matter is, in spite of what it is that we've gone through, that bravado, that that shine that we have was not diminished. And that's the whole point. It's not that we're proud of what the things that we go through. Similar to hip hop artists, when people talked about how they would, brag on their conditions. No, they're letting you know what they made it through, and they're still here. And that's
Yeah.
what the Renaissance, birthed.
It's like an origin story,
Yeah,
right? It's
absolutely.
like, right? It's like that's our origin story. It's like the
Indeed.
best origin story you could have. It's like, yeah, we've been through this and been through that, but look, like we're still here and we've
Mhm.
evolved even more in our art.
Right.
Uh, Speaking of, let's talk about your art, the pieces you decided to do. Why did you pick the pieces for this production? Why those two pieces?
For the same reasons that we actually were just speaking about. It's actually a perfect lead in, because everything that I'm talking about in those poems pretty much was going on during the 20s. So for us to come full circle after a century and to still have these same issues that we are discussing, it's not we're not discussing it because it's cute or we want to or we don't have anything else to deal with. Believe me, I would much rather write poems about basketball, butterflies, hanging out, my son. But unfortunately, if I live in a world where once he's 14 or 15 years old and he's driving, just from his skin color, he can be shot. That's no different than what Hughes and Dunbar and County Cullen and everyone dealt with back in the past, just for being black and walking down the street. Like
Mhm.
certain things, they say the more things change, the more they stay the same. So being able to utilize these pieces on this platform allows us to show that artistically, the same way a painting would. We're using it through the words. It engages in a conversation. Some of the things that I'm speaking on, someone may not even know about. The same way as we said earlier, people didn't know about Tulsa. They're
Yep,
not going to know unless we continue to talk about it.
exactly. And I know the thing is like, all right, maybe things will go away if we stop talking about it. But I'm like, is that true? Like, if we stop saying, hey, stop killing gay people just because they're gay, they have done
Right.
nothing, does that mean they will stop being killed?
I have never in my
You know?
lifetime seen a leaky faucet fix itself. Ever. You
Most
always.
beautiful comparison I could ever fathom.
The only problem is, was leaking is blood.
Exactly. So there's a more urgency to fix the faucet.
Indeed, but people don't feel the urgency until it's their blood that's leaking. And that's why
Exactly.
things like Black Lives Matter comes to the forefront. And you see people's insecurities jump back when they say all lives matter. No,
Mhm.
if they did, we would not have said this in the first place. And the fact that you feel the need to correct what I am saying while knowing nothing about my culture is further insulting. And because whiteness is treated as the default in our nation, there's an entitlement that has been there for so long they don't even realize it. Like if you were able to go into a movie theater and never had to buy a ticket, you could just walk into any movie theater you want to and sit down with no issues. You don't have to worry about showing ID. You don't have to pay for anything. You don't have to get a ticket. You don't have to go through the turnstile. All of these different steps. You just walk into whichever theater you want to. You would find it wild if you actually had to go through the processes that everyone else had to. That analogy is perfect for the Black experience throughout this country, but we have experiences that we have to go through just to make it alive, to get to the ticket booth, to buy the ticket, to go through all those other hoops. And people
Mhm.
who don't even go through that want to take someone yelling at them and saying, "Oh, well, they hurt my feelings, so I know what you're dealing with." No, you don't. If you don't
Yeah,
wake up with an anxiety of death and that stress, and these very things that I'm discussing, that's what is embodied in these pieces. It's like, stop telling me what it is and listen to me. And the
yeah.
major thing is, if you actually treated me and saw me as human, you would not dare attempt to correct me or belittle me, because you're not going to do it to anyone else that looks like you.
That's true. And I think an important word you said was listen. And not just hear me as
Yeah.
noise, but really listen. And I think part of the problem is that just because people that looked like you did bad things does not mean I'm saying you are a bad person.
But you are if you keep ignoring it.
Exactly.
And the
And I
thing
think
is,
that's the wall that needs to come down.
but that's the problem. A lot of people don't want the wall to come down because they know if it comes down, or if they admit it, then there is a level of accountability that they have to hold themselves to.
We have to
And
face our own ugly, and
yeah,
it's hard
very much so. But it's
for
necessary.
anyone.
It is necessary.
Yeah.
It's not pretty at all,
Yeah.
but it must be done.
And I'll do a little personal thing to you and everyone watching. I'm going to open up my soul. Judge me not, please.
Never.
Please. No one judge me. But as an example of looking at your own ugly, as a young girl, I was always very like small. My dad was an athlete. My mom was an athlete. I was an athlete. And I remember getting into arguments with other women, or I guess girls, we were young. And the first thing I would always attack is someone's weight, because I felt like, oh, they're going to say I'm skinny. I'm going to attack their weight. And as I got older, I was like, that is so low.
Yeah.
Like, really? And I had to look at my own ugly and say, that you're better than that. Admit you did it. Say you're sorry. Say, you know what? I was trash for a period of time. I apologize and I will never do it again. And I had to face my own ugly. And I didn't need anyone to show it to me. I
Right.
just saw it. It popped up on it. I was like, I got to write this wrong. I know no one's asking for it, but this is not good behavior. I don't want anyone to ever even see this and think that that's good behavior. And so sometimes we just got to look ourselves in the mirror and say, you know what, this is trash. I will
Right.
take it out. And now let's move forward and be better people. And
And it's not comfortable at all doing
oh
it. We
no.
all we all have been trashed. Like, I don't care who you are. You had things that you've done that you are not proud of. And the
Yep.
thing is, if you're able to admit, you don't have to tell everyone your business, but if you are able to look yourself in the mirror and handle that and course correct as need to be a better person, we all have those stories to help people to be better. As a nation, that's where we're at now. We're at a
Yeah.
reckoning point. And there are people who are actively trying to hold off from it, who don't want to see that happen because they don't want to do the work. And there is going to be a lot of work involved. There will be reparations that will be involved. There's accountability that has to be involved. And it's the same reason that you're seeing people ignore what just happened on January 6th. We ain't even hit July. It ain't even been 6 months yet. And you have people that are running away. So if they're running away from something that's 5 months old, why are we surprised that 400 years is bothersome?
Yeah. Yeah. That's very true. And I told that story not to so people can understand. And mine, I think it maybe is on a smaller level compared to this bigger issue, but it still would affect people now. And
Yeah.
so the reason I shared that is so people know, like, I come on here and I'm all perky and cute, and now I'm living a good life and I'm respecting people and doing the right thing.
Hmm.
But it takes work to get here. So don't be
Absolutely.
afraid. Don't be afraid to take a step in a new direction. That's it. We have all had to do it. You can do
Mhm.
it too. So
Indeed.
that's the moral of my story. We're taking the people to church today.
Well, it's necessary. Like that, maybe some people need to go back there. I know, and like the same way that the churches have issues with people, and the people would run from churches when they talk about that. Like, a lot of people can't run from the country, but the same like those parallels. Your analogy that you use is perfect because you can tie it to everything. There is ugliness everywhere, and until you admit what that is, you can't grow from it, and it will haunt you. It will
Yeah.
hold you hostage. It'll
Yeah.
make you bitter and you don't even know why. You'll attack people with your insecurities because you don't want to, you feel them pointing out what you already know is wrong with you. You have to feel the need to find something that's wrong with them in order to make yourself feel better.
Yep.
Meanwhile, you're not fixing a thing. You just
Mhm.
wanted to find a way to be comfortable with your insecurities.
That's exactly what it is. I was like, we're gonna go down like tangent lane right now because that just like sparked something. I was a reference, a very random reference. I used to watch America's Next Top Model. Just
Mhm.
go with me here. And one of the things Tyra Banks used to say is that she would get jealous of other models and she would think it was them. And then she was like, oh, no, I need to check myself. What is it about me that I don't like right now that I'm lashing out on someone else? And
Mhm.
when I heard her say that, I was like, I do this. I lash out because I'm feeling insecure about something, but I just need to fix the thing I'm insecure about and
Yeah,
let everyone else live their life because they have nothing to do with like me.
right.
It's like that same kind of thing. We have to really like check in with our hearts and our intentions and like check that and realize that we're all just trying to live this life and live our best life and we
Right.
should live and let live.
Exactly. The most important part of that is not trying to make people live the way you see fit. We are, just as a nation, not even on a global standpoint, but just as a nation, we have 330 million plus individuals. That's 330 million different perspectives, different ideologies, ways in which they've grown up and lived. There is a lot to learn. We have so much to learn from each other if we can just admit that we don't know everything ourselves.
And I think that's what's great about this project. It's showing people that, hey, there's a slew of names and performers and artists and a time in history that maybe you have never heard about that
Right.
shaped our music and poetry and dance of today. And
Indeed.
just learning a little bit can change your entire life.
Yes,
So
absolutely.
I really hope I'm very passionate about this. I'm very excited. And I know you are. I can feel
Yes.
your passion through the screen. So hopefully the audience can see that we're passionate and how much this means to our community in the art world and just as a nation for us to grow together and to make changes in the future.
Right.
Last question, is there anything, maybe a fact or anything from the Harlem Renaissance that you'd like to tell the people, or maybe something you didn't know that you learned about the
I
Harlem
think
Renaissance?
what's so awesome about the Renaissance is that how many of the heavy hitters, for lack of a better term, all rolled in similar circles. Some were, whether it be through dating. It's again, the Renaissance was the foundation. Like certain things you'll see in smaller circles, you see happen and ripple in the future. For like the way that Harlem works for creatives is similar to how Philadelphia was for the soul movement in the 90s. With you would go to an open mic in the 90s, and at any given time, you would see the Roots, Erykah Badu, Jill Scott, and Talib Kweli and Mos Def just having to drive down from New York, all in the same spot. Now imagine that, but put it with the Renaissance with anybody you can think of, and they were all connected. I'm actually reading this book, which just happened to be right here. It's entitled The Original Black Elite, and it talks about a gentleman by the name of Daniel Murray. His son was one of the founders of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity, but Daniel Murray himself was the first. He was in charge of putting together basically the first Library of Congress in the
Wow.
1890s as a black man. Like it's like there and all of these, like he would be in charge of putting like political meetings together and welcome parties and welcoming committees for like elections. And that's the other part of the arts that it show is not just arts. It would touch into politics. There was power in what it is that we were doing, and there are different avenues in which people use the power, and just the manner of which people were collaborating to do that is part of what made the Renaissance such a boom. And if we can take anything from the Renaissance, it's the power of collaboration. Like this project that you're doing, and even putting out the invites so that artists like myself could be a part of it. This doesn't happen without that collaboration going. So if we can take that and just expand it into the arts and everywhere else, who knows where we can be.
Oh, thank you so much for lending your talents, your intelligence, your aura, everything to this project. It means a lot to me to have someone of your talent and caliber on my little project. Well,
Stop
not
it.
little project, not little project. I think because it started as this like small idea that I just had. And then I was like, I don't know, like, let's see if it
Mo-
works.
Most great things do. And to everyone that's watching this, like, and I say this to you specifically, but to everyone else watching as well, don't doubt your magic. We do that too often, especially as creatives. And we have like spots like social media now are a bane because there are people who are afraid of themselves who want to tear you down so that they can say you are to know better than them. And the problem is they should be trying to lift themselves up because they are as great as you.
That is a beautiful word. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And you are very, very right in saying that. Um, can the people find you anywhere? I know you like stay off the social medias, but where can they maybe look for
Oh,
you?
no, no, no. I don't stay off the social medias. I have my own social medias that I'm part owner of. Like
All right.
we can support white social media apps. We can support black owned apps. So Live Waves is the spot you can find me. Anyone who's a creative, they can actually do live streaming on there and you can monetize your live streams and we don't take your money. Bravo Pay is another one, similar aspects, has a subscription fee, subscription spot for creatives. You can find me there and truth, the letter B told.net is my website.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Definitely check him out. You guys will not be disappointed. He is bringing magic to the second installment. So if you have not gotten your tickets yet, go right now.
Make that happen.
swshakespeare.org and check out all the fabulous performers that you've seen in these interviews. Thank you so much for watching from the bottom of my heart. I'm Raquel McKenzie, and this is Resurrecting the Renaissance Behind the Scenes.